Where did Chun-Li's history with the Shadow Lu begin? Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Today we're going to be talking about the Street Fighter Legends Chun-Li issues 1 through 4 storyline. This is like a prequel story for Chun-Li, and keep in mind, the comic books, video games, and animation storylines are all different. 3 separate timelines maintained by Capcom. Our story begins with the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang. Qin wanted to protect his lands, and he built a great wall. He knew that he would inevitably die, so he built a great mausoleum. But it was nearly 40 years later that the emperor died, and he was buried with his great treasures and works of art. But it wasn't enough. He wanted an army to protect him on his heavenly journey. So thousands upon thousands of unique stone statues were made, the Terracotta Warriors. These statues had great spiritual and psychic energy, and that's when we finally see that this story is being told by none other than M. Bison, to a hooded, shadowy figure. M. Bison wants those statues to harness their power, and failure is not an option. A month later, 2 cops are chasing someone in their police car. Officers Chun-Li and Po Lin are in pursuit of a stolen vehicle that was used in an armed robbery. Chun-Li tells Po Lin to step on it as they chase the car down the busy streets of Hong Kong. While the robbers argue that maybe they shouldn't have parked in a no parking zone with a stolen car for cigarettes, Po Lin follows the robbers as they turn into a parking garage. The robbers realize that they are running out of floors as they go up higher and higher, and they go crashing through the rails onto the next building over. Po Lin isn't about to let them get away though, as she speeds her car off of the same ramp, making the jump after them. Their car then slams into the robbers' car. And then as Chun-Li starts to make a joke about Lin's driving, blam blam, the 2 cops duck as the robbers open fire on them. However, the robber forgot to reload his gun after the robbery, so they start to climb down the ladder as a getaway. The robbers split up, so do the girls, and Po Lin catches her target easily, but as she's cuffing him, she notices a certain Shadow Lu tattoo on the man's wrist. Chun-Li shouts at the other robber to stop as he tries to get away through the busy streets, so she hops from car to car, quickly catching up and giving him a kick to the head. The man tries to fight back, but Chun-Li knocks him out and then cuffs him to a pole. She then notices that he's holding a piece of paper that looks like a work schedule, and decides that she's gonna go check on Po Lin. Just as Chun-Li turns the corner to assist Po Lin, she sees her slamming the man against a wall trying to get information. Chun-Li has to calm her friend down, and then they take the 2 crooks in for further questioning. Later we see Go Hibiki, Dan Hibiki's father, putting the final touches on his sign, Hibiki Go Dojo, when some street punks show up. The punks tell Go that he needs to pay admission before setting up shop here, but Go promptly refuses. The shot-calling punk sends everyone in to attack Go, but with a few punches, Go tells them to leave and never come back. The guy in charge tells Go that Go has no idea what he just started, and they all head off. Back at the Hong Kong police headquarters, Chun-Li and Po Lin are giving their report about the tattoo. The chief turns to ask Do Rai, Chun-Li's father, who just returned from an undercover mission within the Shadow Lu. But it's hard to say. Shadow Lu is involved in almost every kind of criminal activity, so they have no idea what that tattoo could actually mean. Po Lin steps in to tell the chief not to worry. Chun-Li and Po Lin will find out what the Shadow Lu is up to. This is their moment that they've been waiting for, to be put on a big case. Do Rai tells the chief that it's too dangerous for Chun-Li, but she looks at her father and tells him that he can't always protect her. She knew the dangers of joining the force, so he finally agrees to let them on the case. Later in the locker room, Po Lin tells Chun-Li why she was rough with the robbers earlier. Po Lin's parents were caught in a drive-by shooting by the Shadow Lu gang when they were rising up in Hong Kong. Chun-Li tells her not to worry, they'll solve this case, and they'll get that Sagat guy who is apparently behind all of this. Later, we see that hooded figure from earlier training and calling out the famous Tiger Crush, proving that he is none other than Sagat himself. The punks from earlier who were trying to collect from Go Hibiki have come to tell Sagat that they were not successful in getting any money out of him. However, Sagat sees this as a challenge. After a little work researching Sagat, Chun-Li has very little on him, other than he's an undefeated fighter. And back at the Hibiki dojo, Go and Dan are cleaning up just before closing. Just as Dan goes to lock the door, a giant of a man steps in. Sagat has come to challenge Go for challenging his men earlier. Sagat and Go ready themselves, and Go Hibiki moves in for a punch that Sagat easily blocks. Before Go can realize that his attack did nothing, Sagat attacks with a hard kick to Go's head. The 2 continue exchanging blows, but Sagat clearly has the upper hand before kicking Go out of the window out front. Just as Sagat moves in to finish him off, Go launches himself into a powerful kick that moves upwards right into Sagat's right eye. Now blinded by rage and literally blind in his eye, Sagat unleashes a powerful combo and ends with killing Go. Dan rushes in for an attack, but Sagat grabs him by the head and tosses him to the side before walking off with his gang. Dan rushes to his father's side and he swears that one day he will get his revenge for what Sagat has done. As the police begin to show up, Do Rai tries tries to get information from Dan as to what happened, but Dan isn't very helpful. From what Do-Rai gathered, it has to have been Sagat. The only other thing Chun-Li and Po-Lin are able to figure out is that Sagat lost his eye in the fight, so they decide to go and check on the local hospitals to see if anyone checked in with an eye injury. But when Chun-Li and Po-Lin head to the hospital, they find that the mysterious patient jumped out of the window and left. Do-Rai heads to a restaurant where he asks the waitress to see the chef, but the chef doesn't normally meet with customers. Do-Rai tells the waitress to give him the message. His fried rice is the best in town, but it could have been lighter on sesame oil. In a short amount of time, the waitress comes back to tell him to come this way. Do-Rai meets with his old friend Gen, and Gen suspects that he's not here for food. Gen used to be a hired assassin, and he's able to easily take out enemies with what seems like a push of a finger, but that was a long time ago, and Gen lost the killing intent. Do-Rai wanted to see if Gen knows anything that could be useful as to what's going on because of his past, but Gen has been out of the loop for so long. The only thing he does now is cook. As Do-Rai leaves, Gen does seem to have some instincts left, because he knows Do-Rai is being followed, and he decides to protect his friend. The next day, Chun-Li and Po-Lin have tailed some of Shadow Lu's goons for information, but the guys don't seem to do anything out of the norm. Po-Lin then started to think that they might be looking in the wrong place when blam blam! Two of the Shadow Lu goons come running out of a laundromat firing. Chun-Li runs up and trips one thug carrying a bag of clothes, and Po-Lin fires a shot into the man holding the gun. As Chun-Li is cuffing one of them, Po-Lin starts to choke the other one, demanding to know what Sagat is up to. But as Chun-Li turns back to tell her to stop, the man Chun-Li is holding reaches to pull a gun on her. Chun-Li is able to duck, but the man continues to fire as he runs, and he jumps in a car with the clothes that he stole and he gets away. Chun-Li just stops to stare at Po-Lin. Is she taking this too far? Chun-Li and Po-Lin stop to grab something to eat on their way back, and that's when Do-Rai shows up and he notices something about the clothes that Chun-Li and Po-Lin recovered earlier. They are the same uniforms as the guards at the local museum where the terracotta statues are being kept. That's when Do-Rai figures it out. Sagat is planning to steal the terracotta statues. That's when we see the group that's been following Do-Rai is prepared to open fire on him, and Chun-Li notices a laser pointed right at her dad. Back at the museum, Sagat's gang tries to go in to relieve the current guards to pretend they're actually guards, but when one of the current guards tries to call it in, they tase those guys and they take them inside. Sagat is watching over the operation to load the statues up when he notices something, and one of the thugs asks if something is wrong. But Sagat tells him it's nothing and he tells him to start moving the statues. Back at the diner, the gang following Do-Rai began shooting up the place, but they suddenly stopped firing. We see Gen fighting all of the shooters inside of the room that they were hiding in, and he begins to question them. That's when Do-Rai gets a call from a thug telling him all of Sagat's plans. But before Do-Rai can ask who it is and why he's telling him this, the phone hangs up. The chief comes back to make sure everything is okay at the diner as Do-Rai and everyone begin to explain what happened. Do-Rai tells the chief that Sagat is taking the statues on a boat to transport them to a submarine, and they need to go to the dock right now to stop them. Do-Rai looks over at Chun-Li and Po-Lin because he knows that they are going to be coming along as well. Do-Rai, Chun-Li, and Po-Lin sneak onto the ship transporting the statues, and they surprise Sagat and the thugs and tell them that they need to stop what they are doing. They are all under arrest. But before Po-Lin can finish her sentence on how easy this is, the thugs open fire on them. Sagat yells for everyone to stop firing as they might damage the statue, so everyone moves in to fight hand to hand. Do-Rai tells the girls to handle everyone else while he fights Sagat. Chun-Li and Po-Lin make quick work of all of the thugs while Do-Rai and Sagat exchange blows. Sagat begins to get the upper hand when Chun-Li jumps in with a kick to push Sagat back, but Sagat comes back with a kick of his own, knocking her down. But before Sagat can go in to kill Chun-Li, Do-Rai rushes in with a Kiko-sho. Sagat gets knocked back, but he decides that it's time for him to take things seriously, just as Po-Lin comes with a gun to Sagat's back. While Po-Lin is debating on just killing him, Sagat turns and kicks her leg hard, shattering it. Sagat takes this moment to jump to the submarine down below that's been waiting on him, and he escapes. Chun-Li runs to Po-Lin to help her up while Do-Rai calls in for help. Po-Lin tells Chun-Li how sorry she is. Later, Sagat is standing in front of the 6 statues that he was able to get away with when he sees it. He sees a vision, the power that he saw earlier when they were loading the statues. And he sees into the future, to a fight that he is losing. It's the fight in which he'll fight against Ryu and gain his scar. Realizing the power that these statues hold, Sagat thinks no one, not even M. Bison, should have this power, and he destroys them before calling up M. Bison, telling him that they got away with none of them. A week later, Chun-Li goes to visit Po-Lin in the hospital recovering from her broken leg. She tells her how she can't wait for her to come back, and Po-Lin stops her and tells her that she's not coming back. Po-Lin joined the police to just get revenge, and it almost cost everyone their lives. Do-Rai and Chun-Li go with Po-Lin to her parents' graves and tell her parents that she'll stop risking her life for vengeance. As Do-Rai and Chun-Li leave Po-Lin alone, Chun-Li turns to her father asking if she too would make the right choice if she lost her father. Do-Rai tells her that he trusts that she will make the right decision. But before the ending, we see someone sitting in a nearby tree, and that someone is Cammy. She's been spying on the whole thing. There's quite a few of these legend stories, and I hope to bring them to you every other week, maybe every week. We'll see how fast we get through them. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you want to get more video game comic books, subscribe to Eligible Monster. We bring them to you every Friday, sometimes other times in the middle of the week. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Eligible Monster, and I'll see you guys next time right here.